All right, let's speak to our reporter Masego Rahlaga following the story for us. Masego, let's start with the ANC statement. It's pretty damning. What else is the governing party saying regarding these blackouts?
Well, Shahad, the ANC obviously understandably reacting in this way, this time because the polls are just around the corner. These are one of the things, electricity, for instance, that have been quite a big problem in South Africa for the past couple of years, and obviously a lot of South Africans upset with the ANC when it comes to the power cuts that started in the country in 2008. So understandably, the Deputy Secretary General, Jesse Duarte, reacting in that way to the latest power cuts, especially because it's a few days to go until South Africans take to the polls, and this could basically just affect the ANC very badly because it'll stay fresh in people's minds. I mean, it's stage 4 load shedding until Friday around 5 a.m. And then we're back to stage 2 until Saturday around 5 a.m. And who knows, maybe this will be extended even further. But in their statement, Shahan, the ANC talking specifically about what I just alluded to, the fact that this is the ANC is calling for the leadership of Eskom to have transparency in explaining to South Africans the state of the power supply. They talk about how the CEO in October had said that they would make sure that there would be no further power cuts and that it would be a bit more stable. The power grid would be a bit more stable. But going to stage 4 really does show us, Shahan, doesn't it, that we're far from that. But also they go to exactly what I alluded to, saying that this goes against their manifesto. You know, recently launching their manifesto in Pretoria, the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, Shahan, promising South Africans that he would make sure that the ANC is able to supply electricity, adequate electricity to all South Africans. But of course, this goes against that promise. So they're calling for, in their words, they're demanding unequivocal answers to the current state of the power utility. The mixed messages and the lack of public transparency and accountability witnessed are a source of grave concern and suspicion in the statement, they say. It is also a direct affront to the ANC's commitment in our manifesto, in their manifesto, to ensure that it's able to supply reliable electricity.
All right, so let's get context, right? Because Eskom, of course, issued a statement about why we're actually moving to stage 4. What do we need to know?
Well, what we need to know, Shahan, is that they've said that there are more power stations that have gotten off the grid. For instance, this includes your Kusile and Mudupi. Apparently, there are some parts of those power stations that went offline, and it forced 2 other power stations to also go offline. So it basically means that the power grid is under severe strain. This, of course, is different from what was said on Monday by Eskom, when they had that press conference telling South Africans that they're working hard and around the clock, and that their engineers are also working around the clock to make sure that those power stations, including Medupi, are able to come back online. And of course, you remember that there's the Kucha one that actually also partly burnt at some point. And we did ask those questions during that time if it was going to affect the power grid, and they said that it wouldn't. But it seems as though it is, because they do mention it in the statement that they sent out on social media, Shahan, saying that that power station, they'd be working on it throughout the day today, and hopefully that would also assist with the power grid. So basically, we have all these power stations, some of them new, like Kusile, that have actually, parts of them have actually gone offline, forcing other power stations to be there's too much pressure on those power stations, and there's a forced shutdown. So that's why we're finding ourselves at this severe stage of load shedding.
Masego, I have 30 seconds. In terms of traffic and stage 4, how are the roads looking?
Well, Shahan, to be honest with you, when we went around from Hyde Park, we took Jansmas, and at that time, that area had been load shed at around 2 o'clock. So I think maybe we were able to get out on time, because we drove around that area until about 4:10 with no real huge issues in terms of backlog or anything like that. But you could tell as soon as it hit 4 o'clock, when people started leaving work, that it was starting to back up. But of course, because that area was out from 2 o'clock, it meant that around 4:20, the power was back. So the motorists there didn't experience too much of the load shedding. But I can tell you, Shahan, in areas such as Lenasia South, Lenasia, and some parts of the West Rand in Johannesburg are really under severe pressure at the moment. That's where stage 4 load shedding has hit. And of course, people start leaving work at 4 o'clock, so you can imagine what's happening there right now.
Yeah, definitely going to be very frustrating. We have to leave it right there. Our reporter, Masego Rahlaga.